A very good morning to all our viewers. You've tuned in live to this broadcast on Moneycontrol. You're watching Newspresso with me, Stacy Pereira. And as the drill goes, in the next few minutes, we're going to be giving you a lowdown of all the top stories from across the globe. Why has Fitch gone ahead and downgraded the US? We're going to give you all those details of what's happening within India Inc. and also the latest trends that are doing the buzz round. Now, so let's get straight to it and bring you all that we're getting from our global dispatch. It was a mixed trade on Wall Street yesterday, starting rather lackluster day of the first trading day of August. Dow Jones ending in the green, while the S&P 500 and Nasdaq both falling marginally. Traders will also be watching out for the July ADP jobs report, which will be out later today. But more importantly, the futures that are linked to these indices have been trading in the negative now after rating agency Fitch lowered the US's long-term foreign currency issuer default ratings to AA plus from the AAA that it was. It said that it expects further fiscal deterioration over the next 3 years. And remember, the agency had placed the country's ratings on a negative watch back in May, citing that the debt ceiling fight that was brewing then. Fitch has also highlighted that the rising general government deficit, which it anticipates will rise to about 6.3% of the gross domestic product or GDP of 2023, as one of the reasons for this downgrade. And that downgrade in the US credit ratings is having its ripple effects in the markets in Asia-Pacific regions, which have opened under pressure. This is likely to spark off that risk aversion flows, which means that lower equities in Asia, as well as safe haven buyings of treasuries and currencies like that of the Japanese yen and the Swiss franc, could be riskier currencies such as the Australia and the New Zealand dollar. Now, Japan's Nikkei 225 is trading lower by about close to 1.5% down. South Korea's Kospi has slid about 0.45% in early trade, though Korea will be looking at its inflation rate for July, which came in at 2.3%. So there will be some reactions to that. This is the lowest it has seen in 25 months. Hong Kong, though, is pointing to a lower opening. And in Europe, those markets too closed low on Tuesday. Investors digesting that busy week of earnings. The Stock 600 index provisionally closed by 0.88% lower, with all the major bourses as well as sectors finishing in the negative territory. It was autos that led the losses, falling about 1.6%, while financial services, those stocks were about down 1.45%. On the macro front, we did see data out of the Eurozone manufacturing activity, which has fallen in July at the fastest pace that it has fallen since the start of the pandemic. Now, the stock-specific action, HSBC shares were the ones that climbed about 1.5%. The bank's net profit more than doubled to $18.1 billion, whereas profit after tax rose by about 147% on a year-on-year basis. And on the political front, where former President Donald Trump was criminally charged in connection to his efforts to reverse his loss to President Joe Biden in 2020. The charges mark the unprecedented third criminal indictment against the former president since the launch of his latest bid for the 2024 Republican nomination. Now, no other U.S. president, current or former, has ever faced a criminal charges. Now, the charges also include a conspiracy to defraud the U.S. government as well as witness tampering. However, conviction in the case or any other would not prevent Trump from pursuing his White House calling as well as serving as the president. And in Myanmar, the former leader Aung San Suu Kyi will be pardoned for 5 criminal charges. She still faces 14 other cases, though, and was sentenced to 33 years in jail for a multitude of offences, which she denied and is appealing at the Supreme Court. The Nobel laureate, who moved from prison to the house arrest last week, has been in detention since the military coup seized power in early 2021. Myanmar's military has drawn global condemnation for its heavy-handed crackdown on opponents such as Suu Kyi, which has seen thousands of jailed in that country. Now, buildings in central Moscow were damaged as well as their glass windows shattered yesterday as Russia's capital became the target of an alleged attack from drones. Now, the Russian military said that anti-aircraft units had thwarted Ukraine's terrorist attack and that they are down drones targeting Moscow, but one drone sent by its unit struck the same high-rise tower that it hit earlier in the week. Moscow city was hit by a drone attack last Sunday that led to widespread unrest. Now, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov has said this days following that Ukrainian attack on Moscow and as well as other Russian targets that it is an act of desperation. Let's also get you a quick roundup of all the action that transpired on Dalal Street. Well, we did see the Sensex as well as the Nifty with marginal losses in that range-bound session of trade. Nifty remained below that crucial 19,750 levels, whereas it was the banking stocks that really declined in trade, with the Bank Nifty index losing nearly 60 points. Now, mid-cap managed to buck the trend though, and that indices saw some marginal gains ending in the green. Well, as IT stocks, those were the ones that have been under tremendous pressure but managed to gain in yesterday's trading session among the top sectoral gainers. Now, among stocks that you need to be watching out for today, we do have Titan, Ambuja as well as Indigo, which will be declaring their Q1 results. So that will be something you need to look out for. And on the macro front, India's manufacturing sector activity expanded in July as compared to June. The S&P Global Purchasing Managers Index, or PMI as we know, is edged down marginally to come in at 57.7 points. Now, the gauge of manufacturing sector activity in July is above that key level of 50 points, which is normally looked at, which separates expansion in activity from contraction. Now, for the 25th month in a row, we're seeing this happen, and July's PMI figure marks another solid start to the quarter of India's manufacturing sector, with the index having averaged at about 57.9 in April, June, and 55.7 in the first quarter of 2023. To more corporate action then, where the Enforcement Directorate has conducted raids at Hero Motocorp's chairman Pawan Munjal's residences yesterday. Now, sources say that the searches were also conducted at other premises located in Gurugram and Delhi. It was only recently that Munjal's close aide was caught with undeclared foreign currency at the Delhi airport by DRI. Now, this isn't the first time that Hero Motocorp has come under the lens. Back in March 2022, IT department had conducted searches at 25 premises linked to Hero Motocorp. In June, the two-wheeler maker had received notices from the Corporate Affairs Ministry for alleged diversion of funds as well as shell companies. Hero Motocorp shares were down and about in trade, about 3% lower in yesterday's session, and will be in focus today as well. And on to a Moneycontrol exclusive in what could possibly help cash-strapped BuyJuice with liquidity. Dr. Ranjan Pai of Manipal Group is in early discussions to invest in BuyJuice's own learning platform, Akash. Now, sources say that BuyJuice Ravindran, who holds about a 30% stake in Akash, is expected to partially offload his stake to Pai for about $80 to $90 million. Now, the funds will then be used to repay about 800 crores to its investor Davidson Kempner after BuyJuice had a technical default on the loan it had raised back in May. Now, in a post-pandemic world, Japan is looking to boost its tourism, and to do so and make communication easier for travelers from across the globe, Japan has now installed a very unique device. Now, look at this. This is a face-to-face translator which allows customers as a station attendant to converse with the semi-transparent display, which spells out the words in Japanese as well as 11 other languages, including English, French, Mandarin, as well as Spanish. Now, this is at the Shibu railway station, which is using automated translation to help visitors navigate one of Tokyo's most baffling transportation hubs. Now, Shibu Railways says that the translation device is intended to help customers with more complex requests like directions or also information about the local area. Now, have you ever visited a zoo and questioned if what you see is actually an animal? Well, I ask you this because Chinese netizens have questioned a bear at their local zoo, whether it was actually a bear or a man dressed in a costume. Now, this is because the bear appeared so human-like with his stance as well as folds on his loose skin on the back. And while netizens debated this, the zoo chose to respond in a rather light-hearted manner, saying, talking as if they were the bear. They posted on WeChat saying, yesterday after I got off work, I received a call from the director asking me if I was lazy and did not go to work, and had instead hired a two-legged animal to replace me. That's what the post read. Now in the video though, you can be seeing the sun bear standing on its legs inside the enclosure at the Huzhou Zoo, where visitors then looked on. Well, indeed, some crazy, bizarre news that we get to see. But on all the cues that you need to be watching out for today, we are going to see the GST Council once again convene, and this time to clear the online gaming taxation law changes that were announced earlier. And the council will approve the rules that to implement that 28% GST on online gaming, casinos, as well as horse racing. This meeting will though take place virtually. And in other news, in the political front, we are going to see the leaders of that India alliance go ahead with 21 MPs in their delegation who visited Manipur will now go ahead and meet President Draupadi Murmu. This will take place at 11:30 a.m. today. The leaders will be raising the Manipur issue as well as the Haryana issue and the functioning of the parliament before her. And across the globe, we are going to get to see in the US, the FTC that is going to be looking at the administrative law which will be holding evidentiary hearing in the complaints against that proposed Microsoft as well as Activision Blizzard merger. This is going to be crucial because there are many cases that are pending before them, and they will then further, after hearing these cases, go to the Supreme Court with their appeal. So that is going to be a crucial one to see this biggest deal that we are seeing in the gaming space. So all of those cues there that you need to be looking out for. But with that, it's a wrap on this dose of Newspresso. Hope it was useful and informative and gives you that kickstart to your day. But don't forget to come back, same place, same time tomorrow for your fresh shot of Newspresso. From all of us that put this show together, thanks so much for tuning in.